episode 134.
It's a lot of episodes.
135. It's the coolest episode.
So far.
Absolutely.
It's off to a good start.
Mm-hmm.
We have Alec Smasal
You got it.
and Nick Buchel, the production schedulers at Wrightstown Trust, and Amherst. And we are in the Willy Wonka factory, but we're not going to show you what it looks like because we don't want to. So,
Gotta get a golden ticket.
yeah, golden ticket. Golden ticket would be you guys opening up your cans.
Hey,
So,
there we go.
welcome to the
Cheers.
pod.
Thanks for having us.
Cheers
Yeah.
to water.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for joining, boys.
Cheers.
There we go. Take 2 drinks.
So nice Thursday here at Wrightstown Trust. Appreciate you guys joining.
Yeah.
I guess just quick intros. How long have you guys been at Drexel? And what were you doing prior to Drexel? It can be a little bit longer of an answer if there's multiple things in there, or a shorter one if it's not as much.
Yeah, so I've been at Drexel since November of 2023, so I guess that's what, a year and a half now? So I'm loving it here. Definitely one of my more favorite jobs that I've had. Prior to this, I was a train conductor for Canadian National Railway out of Stevens Point. So it was a pretty big career change for me to
The
to come
CN?
here. The CN, the Canadian National, the big CN.
Okay.
But no, it was an interesting career. You know, I got to go all around the state, up to Superior, lowest I've gone to Fond du Lac, Minneapolis. You know, you see a lot of very interesting things, interesting animals on the tracks. You hit a lot of stuff. So, but no, that was a interesting career. But when I came here, I was kind of looking for something a little more structured, a more stable schedule. So, and saw this was open here, and I've been around Drexel my whole life, being in Kewaskum. So I took a shot at it and panned out pretty well for me.
So I worked a year at UW Superior coaching basketball. First year out of college. Love Superior. What is the craziest animal that you saw along the railway?
Craziest one that I've saw was I seen a black bear. The craziest one I've hit a cow.
Is there more to that story?
Well, so it was we were coming back on a light train. It was a smaller unit, taking some sand cars from like Ladysmith coming back to Point, and I had a trainee with me at the time, and it was his first trip with me, so it was very interesting. But we're coming around a corner, and it was kind of dark. Sun was going down, shadows. I'm looking up front. I'm like, oh, maybe that's a deer in the tracks. And you see deer all the time. We're getting closer. My engineer at the time's like, Nick, I don't think that's a deer. I'm like, are you sure? That's a big deer. Get up close to it, and it's a cow, a big black Angus cow, and all of a sudden, a tank went running down the tracks, and a lot of animals like that, they see the track lines and they think it's a wall, and we're just coming up. Boom, hit the cow, and you wouldn't think a train would shake or jump off the tracks, but it did that time.
Really?
It was a scary situation. So we had to stop the train, obviously, go check everything out, and we started walking about 20 cars back, and you could see pieces of the cow on the knuckles, and yeah. It was an interesting story, and my trainee looks at me and goes, Nick, is every day like this? And Justin Messelin was like, oh, every day you see cows, and yeah, and he's like, no, I don't think I could do this. But,
So how long did you do that for, working for the CN?
I was there for about a year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yep. And before that, I was a fleet manager at Rail Transport out of Marshfield, right out of college. So,
Okay.
So.
Were you Point? Is that where you were?
Yep, I was at UWSP. Yep.
Okay, cool. Alec.
Nice. Yeah, I went to school at UW Oshkosh. After UWO, I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car for almost 3 years. That was my first job. So
In Oshkosh?
all over the place. I worked at the Oshkosh. I worked in Neenah. I worked in Appleton, Manitowoc, Sheboygan. Kind of part of the gig there is going from store to store, especially as you're kind of rising up the ranks and getting promotions, trying to jump branch to branch to get as high as you can, as fast as you can. That was fun and exciting for a while, but that about a year and a half in is when COVID happened. COVID definitely impacted that business substantially, and coming back from that was definitely a lot different from being there initially before that. So for that and other reasons, I gravitated away from that and made the choice to step away. After that, for about a year, I kind of filled my time with part-time jobs. I had a decent nest egg saved up, and I actually had 3 jobs for about a year. I was building porches with a local builder, which was a lot of fun. Loved working with my hands. I was also doing something with my stepdad called Touchless Covers of Wisconsin. That's like selling and installing motorized boat fabric for boat lifts. That essentially a motor would crank up the side curtains up and down. So that was a lot of fun too. Got to spend a lot of time on the lakes that year. around Wisconsin. And then I was also working with Pillars organization in Appleton at like a youth program for young adults who are needing a little extra help getting into adult life from high school.
So you were all over.
I was doing 3 things at once. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved doing all of it for a lot of different reasons. But kind of the next point before is a year goes in, and at some point you start to crave the stability, and you start to look at your future and need to start saving money and get back to the 401k living. And so yeah, I at some point started looking for full-time jobs, and I knew someone who was here at Drexel who's not here anymore, but someone who was working just across the street in cabinetry at the time, and had recommended me to come apply here. And thankfully the scheduling position was open at that time, and when we were still in Little Chute.
Yeah.
And applied to that, and yeah, the rest is history. I've been here for working on 4 years now. So.
Sweet. So in college coaching, I rented a lot of cars from Enterprise, and I could see
bet.
you being a front Enterprise guy, all dressed up.
You bet, in the full suit. Yep.
Doing a walkthrough, making sure there's no dings in the cars,
You
or if
bet.
there are, they're marked down and everything.
Got
And
the
You
black
bet.
polo on, just trying to upsell and want the insurance
Yeah.
package.
Yeah, we were wearing full suits, cleaning cars. It was exciting because there was a lot going on when you're managing one of those stores. You're in charge of everything from the sales to the customer service to the marketing to the operations, and everything in between, and of course training and helping the employees who are newer do their jobs as well. So it was fast-paced and exciting, but like I said, after COVID, a lot changed. A lot of people had left or gotten laid off, and unfortunately, it just it changed a lot in a negative way because of that.
yeah. So I guess touching on change, core value here. How has things changed? And this is probably could be a 45-minute topic in itself.
Yeah.
Little Chute days to now we're almost into almost in some ways completing year 3 or 2.5 years at least here in Wrightstown now. So how have things changed that way for
Yeah,
you?
you bet. It's changed a lot, obviously, just from the plant perspective, but how we're doing scheduling and just our team as a whole, and just how the plant runs with all of the automation we have here in comparison to Little Chute. When I started in Little Chute, of course, I was new and I had a lot of help and mentorship. Shout out Mark Hendricks, my mentor. But I was working in tandem with him a lot at that time, doing the scheduling. And yeah, it was all manual equipment, all manual stacking. The yard was not nearly as big as what we have here today. And it had its own challenges. But then we transitioned into this about maybe a year-ish after being a Little Chute, and then of course transitioning to a new facility comes with a host of challenges and onboarding new equipment and all of that. But I think just the biggest difference as a whole is how much we're handling today and how much orders we are building today in comparison to where we were at Little Chute. I don't have some of the old Little Chute numbers, but I can tell you for sure on a monthly basis we're pumping out over 1 million board feet out of the shop, and I think at Little Chute we were maybe doing half of that in a given month. So we've, I'm sure, doubled, if not doubled, even close to maybe tripled in some respects that way. So obviously the orders has increased at that level too. So it's become more fast-paced for me, a lot more faces. I mean, even to this day, there's many of the newer salespeople that I haven't had the pleasure of working with a ton yet.
Yep.
Still definitely a lot of people working into their own roles that way as we continue to grow, but it's become really fast-paced, and certainly this is a fast-paced time of the year, so it's exciting. It goes by really fast.
Yeah, and how you mentioned Mark Hendricks being kind of a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we have Dylan Ritchie now in that role as well too, down there with
Yes.
Mark, former IT guy. I believe the first true Lion Award winner.
He was the first Lion Award
Was
winner.
he
Still,
Rich?
Yep, he was.
Which I'd love to know who recommended that guy, because I wouldn't have gave him a. I'm just kidding. I gotta give him a ring. But how do you guys work with them, with Mark and Dylan? How do you?
Sure. So we're all 3 lumped under production scheduler, right? But what we do, Mark and Dylan work in tandem, and they're really focused on actually translating the work from our designers. Once the job is designed and it's design complete, they're actually physically putting the jobs from the designers, running reports and whatever, and assigning it out to the saws and the tables out in the shop, and working through that day to day and week to week. Whereas I am more of the scheduling big picture, so I'm maintaining lead times. I'm working with all of the designers on their schedules and managing that with them, as well
You're
as
the one that's in touch with the QBs.
yes, and then being in touch with all of the quarterbacks, and playing the endless scheduling change game with them, and moving the pieces around and trying to trade all that certainly keeps most of my days busy.
So Nick, Keewasum guy,
Yep.
born and raised,
Yep.
goes to Point. We kind of got a little bit of the story of the CN and things you were doing prior to that. You said rail transport as well too, correct?
Yep. Fleet manager
Out of
there.
Marshfield and whatnot. So I guess story getting to Drexel, production scheduler, is that something that was open, or is that something that you transitioned into as you joined the team at Drexel?
Yeah, so when I actually started out in the shop as a systems fabricator. Did some sheeting with Jordy out there. He was a great mentor, taught me kind of the basics of what I need to know. Didn't have a ton of experience out there. About a week in, the production scheduling job opened up, and I kind of talked to Don about it. I was interested, hey, what's this about? And what am I going to be doing on a daily basis? And talked to me about it, and we both thought it'd be a good fit. So I applied and gave it a shot, and it actually fits in pretty well with my background with rail transport. Being there, I managed over 40, 50 drivers at a time. So it kind of fits in with multiple jobs going on at one time. Organized chaos, as I call it. There's lots of stuff moving, changing, trying to get stuff out to the shop. Dates moving forward, moving back, stuff going on site. So it's definitely not something that I thought about, younger growing up. You think, what do you want to be? And I didn't think about being a production scheduler, but it's. I'm definitely glad I found it. I enjoy the role a lot. It gives me lots of variety. It's never a boring day being a production scheduler. Let's say that something's always going on.
And how have things changed? Obviously, there's some automation in Amherst now, which wasn't there.
Yep.
Obviously, in terms of offsite, like I always tell people, like each year we're continuing to get better and better. Obviously, the jobs are coming through and all that. We're hitting more of a groove. How has that changed from a production scheduler? Obviously, you're talking about the organized chaos and busyness, but how even recently has that changed for you? Is there more people you're talking to on a day-to-day basis? More people internally, even from sales standpoint and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool having the Randak robotics line, being able to go out there. It opens up a whole lot of stuff that we were able to do as an offsite production facility. We can't do floors with it; it's a wall machine, but it gives us the ability to be able to produce more walls and increase our capacity, meaning that we can get more jobs out and be able to supply more happiness. That's what we do here at Drexel. But it increases my workload a little bit more. I got bundle some jobs, try to get it out to the robot, make sure that specific walls that are going to the Randak line are able to go down it. And I'm working more with Don Arnott, who is our assistant coach there. With him just on a day-to-day basis, kind of game planning what we want to do. The Randak line is still a little bit of a infant stage. We're trying to get it up and going, but for walls, it's going pretty well right now. So externally, we got to work on getting our outside walls going, but our internal walls are really good.
How long have you been known as Uncle Buck? Because honestly, if there's a nickname at Drexel that I would want to have, I just feel like Uncle Buck is a sweet name. Maybe it's because of the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know, but Uncle Buck to me is like a...
It's a really funny story. I think Don Arnott is the one who started that.
Really?
But when he started calling me that, I had no idea who Uncle Buck was. So he kept saying, you got to watch this movie, you got to watch this movie. And about 6 months in, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down on a weekend, I'm going to find the movie, I'm going to watch it. And I came back to work on Monday. I was like, Don, you're right. I see why you call me Uncle Buck now.
I figured this was a thing from like Keewaskum days. No, this is a recent.
No, this was all Amherst.
Okay.
So it was definitely took me a little bit to kind of make it click as to why are they calling me Uncle Buck? And then I watched the movie and I was like, yeah, I get it now.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was a communities post you put out one time. It was some type of message that went out globally, so it had to be communities. But you put a post out there, and you're like, it's like your friend.
What's that?
Yeah, I remember I put that up. It's your friendly neighborhood Uncle Buck.
I love that. That's awesome.
I even changed my picture on communities, Uncle Buck. If you ever noticed that, yep.
I didn't notice that.
Yep. In my tagline on my emails, you put your signature. Got the little Uncle Buck stamp on the bottom of
Sure.
it. So you got to own it, right? You have a little bit of a face and character.
I feel like we should get some T-shirts rolling here. I guess how often do you interact? Obviously, Mike Gullickson's new production leader. Same thing for Alec then too with Mike Ron here at Wrightstown. How often do you interact with Mike Gullickson on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis in terms of production?
I'd say it daily, multiple times a day. We kind of work hand in hand just to make sure things are going smooth out in the shop. Obviously, with him transitioning from field specialist into his production leader, I'll get to talk to him a lot more, and that's great. Mike's a really awesome person to work with. He's very relatable. He'll listen to you, understand your problems, and he likes to work to find solutions. But between me, him, and Don, we work hand in hand just to make sure we're keeping the shop better. If there's any issues that are arising that Mike have out in the shop, whether it's something with the paperwork's not adding up, or they're having an issue with a certain wall or a certain bundle, he'll come talk to me, see if there's something I can do to help out with it. And then me and him and Don just kind of work hand in hand to make sure that we're getting things going smooth out there.
Yeah, sweet. Alec, how about you?
In regards to here, I speak to Mike Ron here, our production manager. Shout out Mike Ron. I talk to him daily as well, mostly about just the timeliness of certain things going out. If it's not our run-of-the-mill process and kind of getting in line and going through the shop normally. If there's something abnormal about a job that's coming in hot or vice versa, it's definitely a conversation that I have to have with Mike or Dylan and Mark as well. They're working in tandem with Mike every single day as well. Just making sure we're prioritizing the right jobs in the shop if we can. And then naturally, sometimes 911s, we got to get stuff through there quicker and make sure it gets expedited, put to the top of our saws so we get at it right away, stuff like that. Really, I'm probably working in tandem with all three of those guys, Mike Ron, Mark Hendricks, and Dylan Ritchie, every single day.
So you guys got your own groups you work with on a day-to-day when things come up. Mm-hmm. How often, this is a bad question, but how often are 911s weekly?
Here, I would say probably one or two every single week. A big chunk of sometimes what we're having to handle on a week-to-week basis isn't necessarily a new job that's a 911, but also like a rebuild or a repair that's 911. Like whether it got designed incorrectly or production messed something up or it broke on delivery, whatever the reason may be. We handle those types of 911s on a daily, weekly basis. We prioritize that. So every single day we have rebuilds and repairs for the most part going through the shop and prioritizing those. That's a big part of why I communicate with those guys on a daily basis.
And for the most part, is there a pretty steady flow considering most of those? Like you're prepared to have that happen? Yeah. Or are there ones that are still like literally throw you off because maybe the size of it or whatever else?
Yeah, some of them throw you off. You expect it a little bit, right? Like none of us are perfect. Mistakes are going to happen somewhere down the line, especially with so many pieces of the puzzle having to come together to make it all work. Naturally, there's going to be a mess up from time to time. Sometimes they will throw you off guard, though. We'll have days where we go without any, but we'll have days where you get like 6.
Sure.
And then naturally, 5 of the 6 want them all tomorrow.
Yep.
So, and that really, more than anything, too, Gary, our dispatcher, shout out Gary.
This might be the most shout outs in a podcast, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, ask Gary about his high school basketball story with me. It's great. So.
Pulaski basketball?
Oh, yeah.
Nice. He never talks about Pulaski basketball.
I'm sure he doesn't.
But that being said, it can make his days where we're already fully booked, and really a challenge right now that we're facing here at Wrightstown is a general backlog of trusses that we have built out in the yard. Gary is trying to figure out solutions to get those out, and then all of a sudden he's got a fully booked day and he's still got to figure out how to get 2 more out tomorrow. Sure. So we do all sorts of stuff like, throwing a production guy in a truck and running stuff out there, or, he works in tandem with the different dispatchers at the different branches, or the quarterbacks themselves will come and pick them up, especially some of the guys across the street do a great job of helping us out too that way. It's just about getting creative and embracing what's happening and finding a solution in the moment, and that's what makes it exciting and go fast.
Yeah. Nick, is that the same for you in Amherst, where you're kind of prepared for an allotment, right, I guess per week, of like here's what the normal 911 is on a week-to-week basis, and that you're kind of able to adjust from there then?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'd say a lot of more of the 911s that we see, at least on my end, is necessarily rebuilds, but it's a lot of, stuff might be moved around, so a job site may not be ready, so we're trying to move stuff around, making sure that we can, keep our set crews going, and we can make money, right? We're not going to make money unless we got stuff set and getting on the ground. So a lot of that's going to be just making sure, hey, talking to my designers, where are you at on this job? Are there any special order items? Can we possibly move this up? Where are the windows going to be? And that's going to also be work with my dispatcher, Jake Pierce, making sure that, hey, do we have guys who can deliver this? Do we have the capacity? And even working with some of our, like my inventory guy, Chris Gady. He's awesome to work with. If I ever have a special order item where I can't find something, hey, what's my lead time on this? Where is it going to be? He's the person to go to make sure I can get all that done. But no, we do have a lot of those 911s. It's just a little bit different, but we definitely are prepared for them. Obviously, like Alex said, nobody's perfect. We know they're going to come. But what's important is that we know how to attack them when they come, and we're going to be able to get through them.
Yeah. Alec was just touching on, I guess, since we're giving a lot of shout-outs here, who are some of the best salespeople, quarterbacks, that you like to work with where there's a true understanding of like, okay, I need this, but also I'm gonna understand that like I can't ask for stuff all the time where it's 911 or I need this, right? Because I mean, all the time, right? We have to have an understanding of like a kind of a give and take. So who are people that really you feel like you love to work with? We're not bashing anybody here, right? But just like people that are like, they really see the big picture where it's like, hey, can I get this one? But I also understand like, I can't do this all the time.
Yeah, I mean, one of the many reasons I'm thankful to be in this position is the unique ability to have a foot in so many different departments. Like, I know a lot of salespeople, I know all of our designers here, I know a lot of our production teammates and our delivery guys, and I love that a ton. Out of, we probably have 100, how many?
120 something-ish.
About 120 salespeople, many of which I would love to know more and better. But many of our salespeople do such a great job. I feel like, although I don't get to see people face to face all of the time every day, there's a ton of people, and I could just even go down the list of every different location of guys I just love working with. I think it's just the Drexel culture and the type of people that we employ here.
So you'd say more than not, or the
Absolutely.
way where they really understand.
Absolutely. I think most if not all of our teammates, because that's the type of people we hire here. It's the mentality that you come into Drexel with. We're about supplying happiness and helping our local builder, and I think those guys are fighting tooth and nail to do that, and I certainly hope that they know on our end we fight really hard to do the same. And it's never ever going to be perfect, but I would find in every nook and cranny I look, there's positive people, positive outlook, and there's a lot of give and take that goes. It's very fortunate to have so many great people around.
I would agree with you. I think the culture that Drexel strives and takes pride in building around everybody they hire really does go a long way. If we're able to have those positive people understanding, want to work together, understand everybody's role, be empathetic, it goes a long way in being able to have those sometimes hard conversations with quarterbacks or other people saying, hey, I'm sorry I can't do this for you. I hate to be the bad guy, but they understand why. And it makes our jobs a lot easier and able to have those conversations and to be open with them when they are understanding what's going on. And it makes those times that we are able to help them out and really make their day even more special, because those times like, we might lose this battle, but in the long run, we're able to win the war. We're able to go and supply this builder. We might not be able to get it to you here on this Tuesday, but let's work together, get it on Thursday, or maybe this other time we're able to get something a little bit sooner. It makes those ones a little more appreciative and special when you're really able to help them out.
Yeah. If you guys got to jump through hoops on whether it's a 911 or figuring something that is out of the ordinary in terms of schedules, does it make you feel like that's another notch in the belt, another step on the ladder? Like you're like not you kind of impressed yourself, but you feel really good about, we were able to go above and beyond and get that done.
Mm-hmm. In a sense, yes, but also in a sense, no, just because I think the expectation is to go above and beyond and do whatever we can to help our builders and help our own people, our quarterbacks, make their lives easier. For an example, last month we had over 300 orders that came in last month, which out the shop, that translated to 1,160,000 board feet. So just a ridiculous amount of orders. So out of those 300 orders that we got last month, naturally I'd feel confident saying there's 100 of those 300 orders that came in and would be happy to take the job sooner than the lead time allowed. Right. So there is a plethora of people who they all know I have a running list of stuff that I'm trying to move up on any given day. So as the pieces continue to move back, as stuff changes out in the field, I have a list of stuff that I can pull at right away and I can plug and play that. It's not a perfect system, certainly, but for me, I try to 100% that list. I try to get every single one of those jobs off of that list and do the best that I can to make that work for every single person. Granted, of course, you'll never be 100%,
right.
But with time, I think we are able to figure a lot out. It's fast-paced and there's a lot going on, but I think we do a really good job of overall trying to meet the needs of our customers and timelines.
Yeah, sure. That's the nature of the beast with scheduling. I mean, reality is the lead time. I always tell quarterbacks, and that's what the lead time is. It's a moving target, right? It can go up, it can go down. It depends on jobs you have coming in, jobs that may be canceled, jobs that are moving around. But it's the nature of the beast with scheduling. You're trying to be able to hit certain dates that will work for both the builders and our set crews. And like Alex said, it's never going to be a perfect world. But what's important is that, between me, you, and even Leah, shout out to Leah. I know she's watching this because I told her we were going to be here. Leah Habig. We work pretty close together to make sure that we're doing the best that we can offer to our salesmen, which is on our offering that back to the builder. So it can be a challenge sometimes, but it's definitely rewarding when you're able to have a great team around you and be able to make stuff come together.
It's awesome. Yeah, another shout out Andy Rettler. So we were talking the one day about, different people to reach out to for the podcast, and he had brought both you up, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't think of it. Do you guys ever interact on a week-to-week, even a month-to-month basis? Obviously, you're living in different worlds, even though it's the same world, with production scheduling, Drexel, but offsite to trusses. Do you guys ever communicate on just what you guys do in terms of like, hey, we could do this here, we could do that there, or even just like how things are going in check-ins and stuff like that?
There's 4 or 5 times a day. Constantly. I'd say
number one on your speed dial.
Oh, always. He's right there, number one. I look back at a recent call. It's Alec all day long. But no, I mean, Alec's really great to work with. When I started, I actually came over here for a week, and he's the one who kind of showed me the ropes, showed me my tech, kind of gave me the mentality of scheduling, kind of the tricks you need to do. I'm so definitely grateful to be able to have a teammate like Alec and to be able to bounce ideas off of. And sometimes we have those conversations where we got to vent to each other about certain stuff, and it's just kind of something that I think is growing our both work relationship and just kind of how we are personally together. I kind of look at Alec as not only is he my work friend, but he's also a buddy to me too outside of work. So
absolutely,
it's awesome to be able to have Alec as somebody I could bounce stuff off of.
I get to talk to the friendly neighborhood Uncle Buck every single day.
I just don't got that backfiring car, that Fedora.
I never knew that Pointer and Titan could get together so well. That's interesting.
Yeah, we pretend like that. Yeah,
don't catch us in the football field or the basketball court.
Yeah, we pretend like that's not a thing.
What's your favorite thing about working at Drexel, both of you?
Man, I think I just alluded to it. It's easy for me though, and it's just working with all of the people here, working with our teammates. Anything that I find in the realm of success here for me is always a credit to every single person that I'm working with, and that's just one of the unique fun things about being in the scheduling. There's nothing that I can do that gets accomplished without somebody else in this team. So it's my favorite thing by far is just interacting with our teammates, and just having to get to know so many different people, just working through stuff day to day. I mean, there's a pool of, between all the quarterbacks, designers here, production teammates, ops teammates, over 100 people I may be interacting with in any given week, and it's an absolute blast. Like I said to you before, it's find good people and good outlooks everywhere I look. So that's my favorite part by far of being here.
Yeah.
I'd say my favorite part about being at Drexel is just that sense of inner community and teamwork. I haven't felt the sense of just being a team and pride over one group since I was probably a UWSP when I was playing football still with that team. It's awesome to be able to look at everybody around the plant, or when you get the chance to go to different locations, just see that everybody's working towards a common goal, and that goal is to be able to supply happiness to our builders. And we all work for that common goal. It brings us all together as a team, and we all have that understanding about what we need to do. So it's really awesome to be able to have that sense of community inside one company, even though it spans across an entire state. And that there's some people who I talk to on a daily basis, like they're my best friend, but I haven't met them once. So It's awesome to be able to pick up the phone and have that conversations with them and know that we're all on the same page and we have one goal and one mission.
Yeah. Well, I guess we are 28 and a half minutes in. Obviously, this goes super quick.
Time flew by. Flew by.
What is the billboards? You got one billboard. It's on Highway 10 if you're going to Point and Amherst. It's on 41 if you're going down to Oshkosh. Everybody in the world sees it. What does it say and why?
No, I was thinking about this one all week. I saw that question. I was like, what am I going to say? No, if I had something to put on a billboard, and a lot of my designers have heard me say this, where no matter like how messed up a situation might be, or how dark a situation or whatever, or messed up a job might be, we always find a way in the end. Just keep your head down, keep grinding. It might be messy now. We might not have, schedule might be full. We might not have capacity to do anything, but at the end of the day, everything works out in the end. Just keep pushing through it and you're going to find your way.
Nice. Very good.
Yeah, for me, I thought about this certainly a little bit too. For me, there's something in my own personal life, whether it's here or in my own personal life, that I come back to most days for sure. I think this is an old Eleanor Roosevelt quote, but I mean, 1,000 people have said it 1,000 different ways. It just generally, life is what you make it. Life is all about change. Change is a part of life. And if you're not changing, you're not really living. And that's, something that I come back to every single day, just with the nature of the position I'm in and how, construction in this industry works. Every day for us is about change. and embracing change and putting your best foot forward. You're going to get knocked down a lot of times, but it's not about getting knocked down. It's about how you stand up and keep rolling and being solution oriented. That's something that I come back to every day, and certainly keeps me going and keeps me in a good mindset.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys joining the Happy Hour podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us.
It was
Thanks
fun.
for making the drive.
Yeah, no problem. It's always nice to get out.
Yeah.
So,
All right, we're out.
Cheers.
see ya.